Spencer, what role do you think analytics is playing in free agency and will play in the draft for the Browns?
Yeah, I think it always comes into the equation, right? We know that about this franchise. Baldy Podesta sort of ushered in this era where analytics was at the heart of really everything that they did, and even though he's gone, that has kind of stayed present in the mix in terms of how they evaluate these guys. I think the key thing is, making sure that they're balancing the analytics stuff with the what you see on tape and the physical stuff and what you see on the field and not just the measurements and the metrics and the things everybody gets into, especially after the combine. So, I don't think that should surprise anybody. I think analytics is here to stay in the NFL. It's more prominent in terms of, like, I think how the fans understand it during the season when you see teams going for it on fourth down and going for these 2-point conversions in certain situations and things, but it still does roll into the offseason. And so, yeah, like, I think as they're evaluating certain players, there's certain criteria that they look for on the analytics side of things that probably help them boost up a prospect maybe to higher on their board. But the key, like I said, is kind of threading the needle on how you balance that with what you see on the tape. And it sounds like, my understanding of how things have kind of worked in that building, especially after my conversation on Locked On Browns this week with Scott DiBenedetto, who used to be a scout with the organization, is that, during the Sashi Brown era when Paulie Podesta was maybe a lot of analytics. Then it became more about just the pure football, sort of going with your gut of, if you see a good football player, he's a good, if it looks like a good, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck, right? In terms of, if it looks like a good football player, it must be a good football player. And now with Andrew Berry in house for the last 6 years, it's been probably a little more analytics driven, but that he's tried to strike that balance between the two, and I think that's ultimately what the most important thing is.